evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this January 12th, 2026 meeting of the Great Falls Public Schools Board of Trustees. And I'll call this meeting to order and remind people in the room that this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded on our website at some point in the future. So with that, Mr. Deacons, would you please administer the roll call?
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Gordon Johnson.
Here.
Kim Skornagowski.
Here.
Bill Bronson.
Here.
Craig Duff.
Here.
Marley Sunchild.
Excused.
Amy Thompson.
Here.
And Paige Tarosky.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deacons. And Trustee Duff, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Skornagowski.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented. Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Any questions, commentary from this Board of Trustees regarding the agenda? Any others in the room have any comments or questions regarding tonight's agenda? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Tarosky.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any questions or commentary from this Board of Trustees? Any questions or commentary from others in the room? Hearing, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have approved our consent agenda. Moving on to communication. Superintendent's report. Mrs. Hoyer. Here. Welcome, Mrs. Becker. Happy to have you here. Is it really your birthday? Close.
Wednesday is my birthday. You did, yes. So Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees, members of the community, I'm really pleased to offer you each a copy of our annual report. This is for the school year 2024-2025. We had some delay in preparing all the material. We actually did a full redesign, so it's getting out a little bit later than we expected. But I want to highlight just a few key points. On the inside front cover is something new. It's an impact report by school, which basically shows grants, HISE scholarships, all kinds of things, gold stars that have been awarded by school. It does a pretty good job of illustrating that we have strong participation throughout all of our schools. And it also helps schools to understand how they can utilize us. If there are areas that they're not necessarily engaged in, it can kind of call that to mind. There's also featured in it is a grant program redesign, and some of the results that we saw with that redesign that took place 2 years ago. We're now in our third school year of that. Another thing that we moved forward with was reducing the mailing related to this. So this mailing went to donors that had contributed $250 or more over that cumulative period. All other donors had received an electronic QR access so they can view that online, but use that as an effort to kind of reduce costs for mailing and also for print. So we're really proud of what we've been able to accomplish in partnership with the district, and we hope you enjoy perusing it. I also brought extra copies, so if you have doctor's offices, dentist offices, that have common areas and you're willing to take a few copies with you, we would love to have that help. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to the foundation for all you do to support our students and our teachers and our leaders. It is so appreciated, and it's such a unique relationship. We're very, very lucky here at Great Falls Public Schools, so thank you. So some of you may have seen this on Facebook, but if not, I wanted to be sure that I shared this with you. This was our Indigenous Education Department, and this opportunity came through some of the work that Dugan and Jordan and Tawny did last summer in Alaska. If you remember my sharing with you some of their experiences. So they welcomed apprentice carver Brandon Gomez. He was from the Tlingit tribe in Juneau, Alaska, and he came down on the 7th through the 9th and worked with our students. So on the 5th, they shipped spruce wood paddles down to our students, and he worked with them, with our students on paddles and how they're a highly versatile tool. They can be used for transportation, they can be used for hunting and survival, but he also talked with them about the importance of the ceremonial purposes that these paddles had. So our students, you can see them carving and working on the carving, and then they painted them with the important images that are true to them as students and their tribe. So what an amazing experience that came from the networking that happened through that conference this last summer. So we're really excited to see some of their final works once they get them all done. So a very special thank you to our safety committee. You may have been seeing in the media and on social media that the Cascade County Sheriff's Office is working on the Reserve SRO program that we had a presentation about. And so Trustee Duff and Trustee Thompson, along with the executive directors and the business director, and I worked on red line adjustments along with the help of Jean Four, who is our legal counsel. We have the red line adjustments done and back to our law enforcement partners. When we finally get more formalized copies of those, we will get them to you all for you to go ahead and review. But thank you to the members of the safety committee for your help with that. It has been an ongoing process. I think this is our second back and forth, and we'll continue to work on it and refine it so it best serves the students and the SROs. And by the way, speaking of SROs, best of luck to Katie Cunningham. So she currently is in Quantico. She's undergoing some very specialized training, and we have another gentleman, Sergeant Adam Price, who is joining us. But on the 9th of January, we recognized LEAD, which is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, where we not only recognized local law enforcement, but also our school resource officers. So you'll see a little bit of a change there. So Sergeant Katie Cunningham, of course, was sending her all of our thanks, but Adam Price is helping us out while she's at Quantico. And then Detective Jesse Rostick at Great Falls High in Paris Gibson. Will Fleming is the new SRO over at CMR. And then East Middle School, of course, is Detective Shane Stadel, and North Middle School is Detective Christy Kinsey. So a special thanks and a shout out to those school resource officers for all they do. They've been busy the last couple of days just getting us information about incidents that are happening in our community and how we keep our schools safe while they are securing the neighborhoods that surround our schools. So some thank you to our generous community. Cabinet recently wrote some thank yous. So a special thank you to Candace English. She donated freezers to, I believe it was Longfellow and Great Falls High, as well as money for food and for meat to go into those freezers, as did Slutton and All For Him Ministries. The support of our food pantries has continued to be really, really strong. We know that post holidays, we always seems like we get just a whole bunch of support. Pre-holidays is we're getting out baskets and boxes of food, but after the holidays, when those pantries are a little bit depleted, we have folks from our community who come in and continue to provide for our students and families. So thank you to them. And then Meadowlark Elementary received a gift of lunchroom tables from Jim and Debbie Filipowitz. So an entire new set of lunchroom tables. For people who don't think that those lunchroom tables are pricey and expensive, wait until you have to have someone's finger removed from a hinge in one of them as they decide to see if their finger will actually fit in the hole that's in the hinge, and you have to take the table apart and then replace the table. Table was not fine. Student was absolutely fine, if not a little bit embarrassed. That was not at Meadowlark. That was at a different school, but we learned the price of replacing those tables and the curiosity of third graders. They go along hand in hand. And then finally, we had 32 pallets, not reams, but pallets of all sorts of different paper that was donated to us by Printing Center USA. They had some ownership change. And so when they called up and said, "Would you like 32 pallets of paper?" I think we could hear the Printing Center over there squeal. They were all excited because we got everything from just traditional paper to very high-end glossy paper that we need for publications, all at the price of a donation. So special thank yous. Those notes went out this last week to our generous community members. Speaking of generous community members, as our friend Jeff Gray used to say, you get paid an incredible amount of money to do the job you're doing, and that money comes in the form of thank yous and handshakes and hugs and back pats. So it is National School Board Appreciation Month. And looking at MTSBA's mission, the mission of school board or a school board is to work fully develop the potential of each child through school board leadership. So thank you. On behalf of a thankful district, we appreciate the time you put in. You don't get paid anything. And every time I say that, it's kind of a joke. Those people who knew Jeff know that joke he always made, but you work very, very hard for nothing but thank you. And we appreciate the job you do. So thank you. Innovative tax credit season is here. Mr. Decons has an update for us, but I did grab our program page off of Great Falls Public Schools. So I'm going to let him fill you in as to where we're at, what our deadlines are, and anything else we need to know as far as this amazing program that allows us to do some good things for kids and teachers and schools.
So this afternoon, I had an opportunity, or Mrs. Hoyer and myself had an opportunity to form a small group of you at another meeting where we are sitting. It's since changed. We're now up to 33 donors that are involved for the 2026 Innovative Tax Credit to a total of $688,000, a little over that. We also have a gentleman that gave me a call this morning out of California who's interested in creating some sort of a donation to this program because he had some connections here. We have a couple other community members that are working with their financial advisors that usually come in a day or two before the cutoff of the 21st. And we even have one past donor that is trying to figure out what he can do because he does not have tax liability at the state level this year, but he wants to give a donation to the district. So I'm working closely with Stephanie and the foundation on those pieces. All of these come together quite quickly this time of year. Lots of questions are being asked and looking for some answers and guidance. Obviously, we can tell them we can take their money, but we don't give a lot of tax advice from here. We say talk to your accountant and decide from there what you would choose to give and make sure that we receive it. On the 21st, we'll have 5 of us around computers, quickly typing as quickly as possible to make sure all that information is put in. That $7.2 million that's out there will go quickly. We know that. It's usually about 10 minutes, a lot of times a little under 10 minutes. So it's critical that we get everything prioritized and in as quickly as possible and do our best to receive as much of it as possible because these people are counting on it as a way to offset their state tax liability for this upcoming year. So very appreciative to our community and our donors that are out there. Many of them are repeats, but we are seeing new donors as well. So I look forward to coming back after the 21st and letting you know what that total will be to keep these programs moving forwards and looking at how we can use the additional funds in the future to meet the needs of the innovative tax credit pieces across the district.
So I realized I can read that on my computer screen, but I can't read that from here. And so it's in Brian Patrick size font. Could you remind us what innovative tax money can go towards?
So really, when you talk about innovative tax credit money, you're looking at the ways that we can use it to promote STEM type activities, looking at those advanced opportunities and so forth that we can provide for our students. We can also look at special education programming and alternative devices that we've been using for speech here in our districts. We've also incorporated it into counseling for athletics. So there's a lot of ways that we can use it, but you're really tied into very specific programs. It isn't something you can just post out there and do playgrounds or safety or pieces like that. We have to make sure that we're using it appropriately for those funds. So with the STEM Learning Center over at Great Falls High, I think that's a great big project to be moving forwards with, that we have some sustainability with. But now I think we'll be looking a little bit different and looking at other transformational learning opportunities that are out there as well.
And for information for the board, we do meet with a contingency of donors who give to this innovative education program. And as we're looking at different programs to fund, we do work with them to get their input on what are things that they feel are in the, that will best serve the gifts that have been given to us by our community. We take that into consideration when we're making our decisions. So that time is coming up.
It is.
Thank you for all of your work on that, Mr. Degons. And finally, data for the day. So as I have been going out and talking with our community and doing presentations, we've been talking a lot about poverty and understanding the poverty index. So I sat down with Mr. Boyd and asked him for a definition of the poverty index, which you'll see over there on your left, but really how the picture of Great Falls and Great Falls Public School has changed since COVID. So if you look at 2021, our poverty index was 43.35%. We just got our numbers in for our poverty index about a week and a half ago. He got another number, another update, and that's at 66.95%. So we've seen a drastic increase in the poverty index. The poverty index is just one part of federal Title I that allows us to identify whether or not our ability to qualify for a building as a Title I school. And it takes into effect multiple factors. It looks at the number of homeless students, not just students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, but the number of homeless students in addition, the number of neglected and delinquent youth, the number of students who are served in community eligibility programs, as well as the number of students who qualify directly through SNAP, TANF, all of those different federal support programs. So it's one piece of the over total Title I allocation formula, but it's more complex than just the number of students who turn in their free and reduced lunch form. So if you hear people in our community talking about the poverty index, we've been talking about it quite a bit. And I wanted to bring this to your attention for our data of the day, because starting next week next meeting, when we're looking at our updates on our strategic plan, we're going to be overlaying the achievement of our students, the behavior of our students, and starting to show how much work our teachers in the classrooms and our leaders in the building are doing as our poverty index rises, what that means when we have achievement that is growing and behavior that is improving. They're doing extra work and it's pretty outstanding. So I wanted to leave this with you. I can send this to you too electronically so you have it as you're talking to your constituents, just that the face of our community and our students is changing. But our teachers and our leaders are doing pretty incredible work. So with that, Mr. Chair, that is my superintendent's report for this meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoyer. Moving on to communication B, audience communication. I've received no requests to speak before this Board of Trustees this evening, so we will move on to action items. Action item A, E-rate request for proposals and bids for firewall support and district routers. Mr. Williams. We're a patient group. We're fine.
There we go. Somebody ought to get with the tech guy on this one. I'm coming before you tonight to ask your permission to start the E-rate process. Now, I'll give you a quick synopsis of the E-rate process. E-rate is that government-funded program that pays 80% of the devices or functions that we use, that we can use for E-rate networking between the buildings and outside. So fiber, switches, routers, that stuff. It does not pay for any servers or any kind of endpoints. As I brought to you before about the E-rate, we're planning on for the technology plan. It has come up that we need to take a look at replacing the routers in the district. Now there are 24 of them. So a router, think of it this way. If I drove into a subdivision, there would be a main office, right? Because they're going to be taking and selling out the lots or whatever else. That's their main hub of the wheel, of the spoke of the wheel, rather. Not, okay? Rather, hub. So our data center is the hub. There's one router there that separates information coming in from going out to other pieces of the district. Each school, in turn, has another router. So think of a wheel with hub and spoke going out to other wheels with hub and spokes inside the buildings. Each one of those routers is a piece of equipment that needs to be updated and kept as up to date as possible. E-rate pays for it on a 5-year cycle. So as they become aged and it's like, hey, these are ready to be replaced, it comes up on the E-rate radar. I have to admit it was not quite on my radar this year until I was notified, but no big deal. We deal with it. So what I'm asking you to do is allow me to take and advertise publicly for the bids for the routers. The reason I'm saying that is E-rate does have category 1 and category 2. Category 1 is anything touching the fiber network, which is the routers. Category 2, as you saw in the document I had for you, is for our firewall licensing. That does not require me to go out to bid because it is less than $80,000. We anticipate the router's totality being $80,000 plus. Therefore, I have to go out to bid, unless we can take and procure it from the state contract, which we'll find out. So, and putting this notification into the newspapers for 2 different cycles, I need to ask Allie to do that. Prior to doing that, I need your permission to do so and give you the reasons why. That's basically it all in a nutshell. Happy New Year, by the way.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Tureski.
I move that we approve the process and timeline presented for the creation of, request for, and evaluation of the submitted competitive bids for the E-rate RFPs as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the process and timeline presented for the creation of requests for the evaluation of submitted competitive bids for E-rate RFPs. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees? Any questions, commentary from others in the room? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. That was an enthusiastic aye, too. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
You guys keep doing that, you're going to spoil me up here.
Thank you. Roman 8, action item. Action other. No item was pulled from the consent agenda. Then we'll move on to Roman 9, reports, discussion, and policies. A, 2024-25 advanced placement and dual credit report. Mrs. Mainwaring.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, Superintendent Hoyer, members of the community. Becky Frisbee, our secondary curriculum coordinator, is here to share with us the report on the 2024-25 advanced placement and dual credit information.
Thank you, and welcome, Mrs. Frisbee.
Hello.
Happy to have you here.
Nice to be here. So, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, community and trustees, I'd like to talk a little bit about AP and dual credit classes. Let's start out with what we are offering last year. So we're always a year behind. So the 24-25 year, this is the list of courses that we offered for dual credit. That dual credit came from either Gallatin Community College, Great Falls College, MSU, or University of Providence. Those are our three big places that all of those come from. Something I like you to know about them is that most of these courses at CMR and Great Falls High are offered in the building by our staff. Welding cohort is at Great Falls College, MSU, and it's their staff. Just kind of thinking forward, there are two new ones that will come up during this school year. One was psychology at Great Falls High. Great Falls College MSU staff came into Great Falls High's building and taught it. And Build Montana will be dual credit in that the kids all go to Paris to take it, so it's still taught by our folks. Just to be aware of Paris students, they address dual credit a little bit different. The goal at Paris is to get our students out of the building and into the building at Great Falls College MSU. Having them go there, take classes, so they have a little bit broader view of what they get to take. Where at Great Falls High or CMR, you're limited to this list. At Paris, you can take anything in the catalog that's offered at Great Falls College. The difference is those students are getting the opportunity to see themselves as college students. They're walking the halls, they're talking to other college students, they're sitting in class, and it helps them dip their toe in the pond and see if they want this, and to actually see themselves as a student that can be successful. So two different approaches versus our traditional and alternative schools. Our next slide I want to share with you talks about the number of students that were enrolled in dual credit courses. Keep in mind, I don't know when they sit in that class, did they take it for dual credit or not? But I can tell you our enrollment in those courses. And prior to COVID, I kind of keep leaving those last couple years on there before COVID, our numbers they're not bad, but they were lower than what we are now. COVID, everything spiked because no one wanted anything but dual credit because they were trying to be remote. But if you notice, our numbers are pretty consistent and they have remained higher since that COVID year. So just a change. Other than that particular event, I can't give you a reason, but more opportunities and students taking advantage of those. But we are sticking pretty consistent in the numbers that are taking those dual enrollment courses. The other side of this coin is AP. Most of the AP courses that we offer are both at CMR and Great Falls High. There's very few that are only offered at one place or the other. Paris doesn't offer the AP courses for a couple combinations of reasons. They have a smaller staff, they have a smaller student body, and so getting the number of students required to be in the course so that we have a full course and that we're not offering a class to one or two kids. Every college looks at AP differently. Some of the students I've talked to said there are some of the big schools, Harvard, Yale, they're not AP fans. They look at it and they say, great, it's like having an extracurricular, we're glad you took it, but it may not count towards anything. Some do, some don't. Most of them need a score of 3 or higher. A lot of schools require a 4 or 5. A 3 isn't as often. Currently, the cost is $110. That covers what College Board charges us and allows us to pay for proctors and a place to test. Paying for proctors is fairly new. We're talking maybe the last 3 or 4 years. If I didn't pay for proctors, I have to continually pull our counselors out of the building. And May is a time of year when kids are starting to experience stress. They're looking at their structure, everything that they know for a place to be, to eat, to be safe. and you're going to take that away in 3 weeks. And so pulling my counselors out all the time to test isn't necessarily the best thing for students. So we balance it between counselors and pay proctors. Not everybody that takes an AP test or takes an AP course takes the test. Lots of reasons. Maybe I'm taking it full dual credit. Maybe I got sick the week of testing and it doesn't work for me to make the test up. There are lots of opportunities to make it up, but not all of them choose that. Maybe their school that they got accepted to doesn't take AP courses. Maybe the school they got accepted to accepts the dual credit that they're also in, so they don't need to take the exam. Sometimes they're just not ready and they know it, and so they just don't take the test. Currently, 8 courses offered for dual enrollment also count for AP. And this year, as many years, the foundation has supported a handful of students that demonstrated financial need to help pay for the AP course. Here's a list of everything that we currently are offering at either of the 2 high schools. If it has a star next to it, it also means that it is a dual credit course. Something else that changed in the 24-25 year is we went to 2 types of tests, and none of them involved the traditional paper and pencil that we had before. Either 100% digital. They came in, sat down with their Chromebook, everything they did was on that Chromebook. When they're done, they submit, they walk out. Or it's hybrid. The questions appear on their computer screen, but they write it in the AP test booklet. So, as an example, we went from shipping back 4 to 6 boxes to AP to I think I shipped back 3. And one of them I had to find lots of paper to pad it with because I couldn't find a small enough box. So it's a much different send-back, less paper, but that isn't why they changed. There was an intense amount of leaking of tests the prior year, and although they feel that no security was breached, by the way, that wasn't here, but they went to this hybrid model. And there was a lot of things that they had to work through. We'd give a test on Monday and Tuesday, like, oh, by the way, if you give this in makeups, this is what's changed, and you're going to offer this piece that didn't work during the regular test. Or in this test you're giving today, these things have changed. So they were definitely building the plane as they flew it. This gives you an idea of some of the previous years. First of all, I'll tell you, I have no idea what happened to 2023 data. I tried to find it. It is too old for me to dig it out of AP, and for some reason, it's not in what I could find. So we're going to look at 21, 22, 24, and 25. The test is always in the spring, so that signifies the spring of the year. And if you look, our enrollment is pretty good. We're kind of staying up there. We're definitely not as high as we were in that first year after COVID. There were a lot of really interesting rules in AP the year after COVID. And I think a lot of people were more willing to try the class because you didn't have to necessarily test. But the testing, if you look at how many actually take the test, it's pretty consistent. It hasn't changed a whole lot, although 2024 was a little bit low. Not much, just a little bit. That was the first year we ran into what's called exception testing, which involves the 3rd week of tests. You have your regular set of tests, then make up an exception. We have to plan one by one. And we had major impacts with divisional and state sports. And some kids said, nope, I'm done. I'm not going to try. But it's also the first year we offered exception testing. We recognize, because we would never alienate our sports people, that AP and state and divisionals clash big time. And so exception testing is something we have to add. And it's just more of a one-on-one. We have weirder rules to follow, and we just jump through the hoops and hope that each year they say yes, because it's one-on-one approval, and that's so far they always have. So, any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Frisbee? I do have a question, and that is, you said that you referenced, I think, Ivy League schools were reluctant to accept AP credits, and that's not germane just to the Great Falls Public Schools, but
No.
schools around the nation. Is there any way that we as educational institutions can leverage any influence over universities on this question?
And sometimes it's course by course. Sometimes, if it's a technical school, they will look at physics or bio or chem that are required for their degree, and what they require is their own code level, and they feel nothing compares to it. So they will often not accept dual credit or AP in those categories. You can take them as elective. They'll give you an elective credit, but they won't give you your physics or your chemistry or your biology. There's always some courses they take. English seems to be the most accepted.
Okay.
But others, it just depends on that university. Our kiddos that have gone to those Ivy Leagues are some of the ones that often say, I'm not going to test because it doesn't have the same weight there that it does anywhere else. And the weight for them comes from having it on their transcript, not in the exam.
Well, I'm pleased to learn that it's not across the board that they're not accepting AP credits, but there are some areas and disciplines by which they will accept them. So.
And it's often the best. Just taking an AP course, you've experienced the rigor of that college level intensity, pacing, the test levels, all of those things, even without ever taking the designated exam at the end. So students get so much out of experiencing the course that the exam's kind of just the cherry on top. And hopefully for them, it gets them that credit.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Mrs. Frisbee? If not, thank you very much for your report.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Here. Roman 9, reports. B, review of the 26 Montana High School Association proposals to be voted on at the annual meeting. And I see Mrs. Mainwaring is in place.
Yes. Good evening again, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees, members of our community. I'm presenting Mr. Mike Henneberg to come and share with you to review some of those proposals that'll be up for a vote at their next annual meeting for MHSA.
Welcome, Mr. Henneberg.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Johnson, board members, Superintendent Hoyer, and guests. As mentioned before, I'm Mike Henneberg. I'm the athletic director for Great Falls Public Schools. Included were the 7 proposals that are put before MHSA membership at our annual meeting. I'll give you a little bit of background on that meeting. It'll be held next Monday, January 19th in Helena, Montana this year. There were 7 proposals submitted and will be heard and voted on by the high school principals. Each school has 1 vote, and that's taken care of by Mr. Hobble and Ms. McGraw. The AA conference does have the opportunity to caucus prior to voting on the proposals. And then all 7 proposals this year are amendments to bylaws, which would require a 2/3 majority of the membership in order to gain approval. The recommendations for our two schools will vote is based on research conducted through conversation with our coaches, with our school and district administrators, as well as myself, the athletic director. At this juncture, they do remain recommendations and are subject to change based on new information as it's presented at the annual meeting. As I do each year, at the conclusion of the meeting, I will send an email updating you, the board, on how these proposals did, I guess. So for each proposal, I'll provide a brief summary, explain any potential concerns or issues associated with the proposal, and I will provide the recommendation on how our delegates will vote at this point in time. So the first proposal was submitted by Lone Peak High School, and it's basically an amendment to the contest requirements for non-member schools. And if this were to pass, it would allow non-member, non-public schools to be invited to or participate in MHSA events. So it's both team events and individual events. I think it's driven largely by a desire for some track meet, some of those schools to participate in track meets. It has minimal impact for our district, but I am not in support of this at this point in time because I believe all of those schools have the opportunity to gain membership and pay dues to the MHSA should they want to participate in those type of events. The second one, again, has very minimal impact on Great Falls Public Schools, but it was submitted by Highwood High School, and the proposal basically adjusts the language to split profits during the football season, at the end of the football season, amongst the teams that qualify for the 6-player playoffs. There's no impact. I don't see any reason not to support that particular one, so we would vote yes on that. Proposal number 3 is also a bylaw to amend the MHSA rules for expedited hearings, and this was one that came before the board either last year or the year before, that in order to for the MHSA executive board to hear an expedited hearing, there's a $250 charge. There was language at that point in time that said if you win the appeal or if the executive board rules in your favor, they would refund that. This particular proposal ups that amount to $300, and there is no refund should they vote in your favor or rule in your favor. Again, I don't have any concerns with that. I did participate in one of those expedited hearings a year ago. I know there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into putting those together with people from the executive board all over the state. I know there's a lot of effort, and a lot of times it's on a very expedited timeline. So I think that that's reasonable to up that fee to $300 and then not consider refunds afterwards. So I would support that one as well. Proposal number 4 is to add eligibility bylaw to allow for academic hardship. The MHSA currently has academic eligibility requirements in order for a student athlete to be eligible to participate. Great Falls Public Schools has our own that are more challenging, but we do have a one-time only opportunity if a kid meets the MHSA standards but doesn't meet the GFPS standards for that to be waived. There's a process involved. This particular proposal would basically allow the executive director, Brian Michelotti, to waive the eligibility requirements for certain students if they did not meet the minimum, which is passing 4 classes in the previous semester, under extenuating circumstances. And this really, out of all of them, was the only one that gave me pause to think about. But at this point in time, I'm not in support of it. I think in extenuating circumstances, individual school districts, individual schools have the opportunity to work with those kids and try and get them to gain credit or adjust what they need to based on the circumstances. And I also feel very strongly that the academic requirements are one thing that we still have to use as a motivator. You know, that we know as we're getting ready for fall sports, you know, if some of our students aren't maybe up to speed or doing what they need to do, that's an opportunity for our coaches, for our teachers and whatnot to reach out to that person and say, hey, you know, you got to get it handled here or you're not going to be able to play football or golf or, you know, whatever it is. And I just think that's pretty strong. And I think that's a core value in the mission of interscholastic athletics. So at this point in time, I'm not in support of proposal number 4. Proposal number 5 is to amend the transfer bylaw for homeschool and non-member schools. This was submitted by Red Lodge High School, and it would impose a period of varsity ineligibility for students transferring to or from homeschools or non-public schools. I have no concerns with this at this point. That is how we handle things here in our district. So it's basically when homeschool and when non-public school opportunities arose and when that was passed by membership, individual districts were given a lot of leeway in how they were going to manage it. We've adjusted that based on circumstances here, and so this basically mirrors our current policy. So I would support that. Proposal number 6 is to amend the awards rule bylaw. This bylaw was passed last year and allowed up to $500 in awards or value of $500 in awards per student per school year. Basically, this clarifies some language in the awards rule that $500 total would not include disposable items such as training gear, workout clothing, etc. So I'm in support of that. And then the final proposal, number 7, is to amend the general penalties bylaws regarding spectator ejections. As you remember last year, this was adjusted to include if a spectator gets removed from a game by an official or game administrator, that they would serve a penalty of 3 games. This basically closes some loopholes in interpretation. So it just says that if someone from one of our games is asked to leave or is removed from the game for their behavior, they will be out of all school activities for 2 weeks. So it basically simplifies that, clarifies that, and I'm in support of that as well. So at this point in time, are there any questions from the board?
Any questions for Mr. Hanneberg regarding 7 questions? None? Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you very much for representing us at this meeting coming up next Monday.
Yep, and I'll let you know probably midweek of next week how the votes went and make sure you guys are included in that. So
we appreciate that. Thank you
so
much. Roman 9, reports. Item C, Superintendent Evaluation Report. Trustee Thompson.
Hello. So, fellow trustees, tomorrow we are going to open the superintendent evaluation process, not only for the public, but also for us. Tomorrow, the link for the survey will go out on the website tomorrow morning. The public will be able to either evaluate Superintendent Hoyer through the link, or they could come to the next board meeting on January 26th and make a public comment, or they can write down their comments and mail them or email them in to me. And that'll also be on the website as well. For us, tomorrow, you'll get an email from me with a link to the evaluation, and then also a spreadsheet that will include Superintendent Hoyer's self-reviews that she's done. She's done 2 of them for us. And then I just wanted to remind you that there are 4 standards on as part of the evaluation. Each standard is linked to the 3-year strategic plan. So once you have the evaluation, though, I just want to make sure that you all know that once you hit submit, if you changed your mind and you want to go back, you're going to have to call Sherry and she can clear it. So we've got a little bit of a cheat sheet for you that will have the standard and then the how you can rate her and then her self-evaluations all together. So I would suggest maybe just taking a few moments and reading through, deciding how you're going to do it before you get into the link, and then it should make it go pretty smoothly. So everything is due on January 30th, and then we will come back in February and discuss comments that we got from the public, and then also we'll talk with Superintendent Hoyer about our evaluation.
Great. Thank you for your work on this.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for Trustee Thompson regarding superintendent evaluation? Okay. We're moving on to Roman 9 reports, item D. First reading of revised board policies 2600, 3655, 5122, and 5122P. Mrs. Hoyer.
Well, thank you, Chairman Johnson, members of the board, and members of the community. I believe, oh, she's still here, Executive Director Jackie Mainwaring. I just want to give her a very special thank you because the policies that you'll see here deal with background checks and fingerprinting and a recent law, I think it was House Bill 475, that was one of those that I think was, when it was passed with great intention, and then it got really murky really quick when we started looking at all of the different individuals and groups that come together to support our students and how we have to do background checks. And so Jackie has worked nonstop, getting information, getting legal guidance, and has really helped us drive the changes that we're going to see here. So thank you very much, Jackie, for your extra work on this. At first we thought this was going to be a piece of cake, and then not so much, not so easy. So you will see in front of you, I'll walk you through these. These are our first readings. First of all, policy 2600. This really is a wording update to bring things into consistent with our practice. No matter how many times we read these, we end up finding errors. And so on line 16, you'll notice where it says congregate care, it said congregate car, apparently, for years and years. Nice catch, Allie. Thank you for that. And then down below on line 45, we changed work experience / internship coordinator to career pathway advisor. This matches our position title that we have here in the district that's currently held by Derek Sanger. Moving on to the back page, you'll see that that is a consistent change throughout, career pathway advisor. And then we also added written protocol on line 8 on that second page as well to match it up above. A few more typos, and then on the last portion of policy 2600, Allie went ahead and House Bill 745 was codified, and she has the MCA there for you, and you'll see that on lines 25, 26, and 27. Moving on to 3655, this is a recommendation to strike per MTSBA and adopt the MTSBA wording, which the committee approved, and this brings everything together for legal compliance so that in totality is there for you to go ahead and review. You will see the same thing on 5122, once again, about fingerprints and criminal background investigations and checks. That is all there for you to go ahead and review as well. Policy 5122P, I just want to give a special thank you as well to Heather Spurzum, our Director of Human Resources. She caught an error after the committee met. The changes that you'll see in 5122P do bring us into compliance per the law and through recommendation of MTSBA. And then she caught line 16 and 17, where it reads the Department of Justice, DOJ, requires the form to be placed in a separate file cabinet in a locked room. This was information that she had gained through the audit that the DOJ does of our fingerprinting process. And so that was added in. So Heather, thank you for catching that. So we're sure that we are fully reflecting our practice. And with that, Mr. Chair, those are the board policies for you to review. A special thank you to the committee for your work on this. And once again, to Mrs. Mainwaring for everything she did to help get us to a point that we could bring it forward.
Thank you to all those involved in cleaning up these policies, bringing them up to date, And these will be on the agenda at our next meeting for potential ratification. So thank you for your good work on this. Reports, item E, discussion, committee reports, and comments. We'll start with Mr. Duff.
All right, thank you. Not a lot tonight. I would like to say a big thank you to Mrs. Becker for all the work they do at the foundation. Forward to looking through the pamphlet here and seeing more what they've done in the past year. But I know it's a great asset to the schools, and we appreciate all the work that you and your team put into that.
Thank you, Trustee Duff. Trustee Skonogowski.
So since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to do my half-day subbing, and I've been on the board since 2017. This was by far my favorite.
Oh, wow.
I got to sub for Brianna Conrad up at the Early Learning Center. It is awesome if you have the opportunity to go up there and hang out with those kids. Just super fun. But also, obviously, every time I do this, I learn something. And, you really get the opportunity to see just the level of need of students in our district. There were certainly students that were ages 3 and 4 that were nonverbal. Other students that had physical disabilities, and so it's just wonderful to see that we have a district that's really responding to the needs of our community of kids of all ages. So take a chance, like if you are feeling down. Man, it is fun. The other thing I wanted to mention is, yay, the calendar committee is meeting again. So I will share updates of when our community will have the opportunity to weigh in on the choices for the calendar, not for next year, but for the year after that. As you know, this is something that our community cares about a lot.
A real juggling act. Thank you for serving on that committee. Trustee Thompson.
Well, my report is about my half day as well. I was filling in for a TA at Morningside Core School, and I got over there. It was December 19th, and I walked in, and it's the day of the concerts, and so I ended up being the door person for the concert. So that was wonderful. Thank you. It was by far the easiest job that I've had, I know it isn't fair. And I told her that I promised I would do another half day for her, but she kept saying no. But I really is open if they would like me to go back and actually experience what she does on a daily basis. I would love to do that.
Thank you. Trustee Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, we continue to receive and evaluate information that we will need to make a final decision about joining the proposed health insurance trust. We just got a very good analysis from our consultant the other day of the information which Bridged Alliance, the trust group, had provided. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we will have more information and the opportunity to present a recommendation to you.
Thank you, and thank you for the time invested in this one question. Huge. Thank you for your work on that. Trustee Tarowski.
Just real quick about the budget committee. We've been meeting and working hard and taking a really good look at where our budget's at and what we need to do going forward. And our town hall is going to be in March, and so I do hope that everyone can attend and come and at least listen to that and hear community questions and concerns.
Yes, thank you very much. And many of us in the room today were at a key meeting, and I think there's 15 people in the room, 15 very smart, passionate, invested people in our community who are fully invested in the education of our young people. And I do think that the Great Falls Key Organization is a flagship organization in our state, leading the charge in reaching out and communicating with the legislature and our citizens in the importance of education going forward as a society and as an American nation. So thank you for all of you who are involved in key. It's so critical and so important. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no other further business to come before this Board of Trustees, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.